Welcome back to week 3 in the OUA. Connor O'Neill, Wade Zanketta. We are here to talk about this week's marquee matchup. Joining us in a little bit is the quarterback for one of these teams, the Laurier Golden Hawks and the Guelph Griffins. 1 o'clock from the KW. Connor, 2-0 Guelph. 1-0 Laurier because they had the bye last week. What are we expecting for this game?
Man, I don't know what to expect. I expect a lot of quarterback action, a lot of run game action. We have two very good quarterbacks in Tristan Aboud. Obviously, he's the guy in Guelph. Tristan Aboud is the number one quarterback. No question about that. Had a great game last week in week 2. But Marshall McCray comes in, steps behind center, and he really makes this Guelph Griffins offense dynamic. And the things that he can do with the football, the way that he manipulates the run game, the way that he manipulates the offense, because yeah, he runs the ball. We all saw the hurdling touchdown, but this kid's got an arm. He can throw the ball too. So the things that Guelph does creatively with both Tristan Aboud and Marshall McCray is going to be really exciting to watch. However, this Guelph Griffins offense is going to get a real test with the Laurier Golden Hawks defense. This is a stout unit. We heard it when we previewed their season with Coach Michael Falds. They got 12 starters back on offense. They got most of their starters back, minus a few guys on the defensive side of the ball. This is going to be, I think, the biggest test thus far for the Guelph Griffins as we head into week 3.
And I think part of this with Guelph is they played Carleton, who lost their quarterback halfway through the game, but they were in cruise control. And then they played Toronto, and it was first quarter explosion from Aboud, and they just kind of put into cruise control there. Now, this test, I think, is going to be a team that pushes them to play all 4 quarters and might force them to play from behind, because we know that Guelph has been able to utilize that run game and stay in front of the chains and stay in front of the scoreboard. But this Laurier team, Connor, can strike fast, and coming off a bye, you know they're going to have a few wrinkles. I'm really excited to see how Laurier attacks this defense to kind of flip the viewpoint to the other side, because they've held the ball really well. They've held the run game in check, but can Laurier kind of push that envelope and use their playmakers on the outside to really take advantage of Laurier? Because remember, last year this was the game Elgersma hung 6 touchdowns on the Guelph Griffins.
Yes.
So I wonder if it's going to be the same recipe or if it's going to be different.
Yeah, no, this is certainly a reinvigorated Guelph Griffins. This is not going to be the same team that the Golden Hawks saw last year. It is going to be an exciting game. We could talk about this matchup for the next 3 hours if we really wanted to, but we do have an expert on this subject matter joining us. So we are going to go to him now. Taylor Elgersma, quarterback for the Laurier Golden Hawks, joining us to talk about this matchup, to talk about his Laurier Golden Hawks and what they're expecting coming up in week 3. So we're going to cut to our interview with Taylor Elgersma right now.
And welcome into Taylor, the Laurier Golden Hawks quarterback. Thank you so much for joining us amid the start of your semester, the middle of your preparation for this week's game. I guess kind of talk us about having that early bye, and how have you guys been able to use that time, not really to heal up, but to kind of grow as a team and prepare yourselves for the long stretch that is to come?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, having an early buy is not always like what you look for, but I mean, I think for us, we were able to use it to our advantage, knowing that we didn't think we played our best against Mac, and obviously they're a good team, and we got a good win out of it. But being able to kind of use it as a nice little reset, knowing that we have a long stretch of games here, that we're gonna have to grind through before hopefully we get one after game 8, and that's kind of our goal right now, is that we got one now. So let's take advantage of it, and then we'll get one at the end of the season as well.
So week 2 comes around, and the Guelph Griffins are on your schedule. And I know last year you had a lot of success against the Guelph Griffins personally, but it's a completely different coaching staff, completely different team. Kind of talk to us about what you've seen so far from the Griffins on tape.
Yeah, I mean that's the big message for us is that this is a different team than we played last year. New defensive coordinator for us offensively that runs a completely different scheme. And not only that, but they're one of the only groups that returns a bunch of guys just like we do offensively. And so similarly to us, they have a lot of growth on their team, and obviously their offense has played well through the first two games. And so we know that it's not going to be the same game that it was last year, and no one's on our side is sitting there thinking that it is. And so we know that we're going to play a good football team. And so we've just been prepping them and giving them the respect they deserve.
You talk about the offense and showing growth. I mean, you obviously being the reigning MVP in the conference kind of set the bar for quarterback play, but Abood and McCray on the other side have been on fire to start the year. What do you like most about kind of watching them progress this year as a tandem?
Yeah, I mean they're two completely different style quarterbacks, but they both do the things that they do really well. And so Tristan's obviously more of the typical drop back guy, and watching him kind of throw last year, I was impressed with as a freshman what he was able to do in the drop back pass game. But clearly he's taken another step this year with that, and so kind of being able to mix that with Marshall's athleticism and I've known Marshall for a little bit. He actually stayed with me when he was on his visit here, and he's a great dude. And so I know that they're super lucky to have both those guys in that room, and it's pretty cool that they get to use them both. And so our defense is going to have to be ready to prep both those guys this week.
I wanted to switch gears here a little bit and talk about we're talking about a little bit of the offensive play of the Guelph Griffins, but you as a quarterback don't really have to deal with those guys ever or a whole lot, I should say. But defensively for Guelph, stout team led by guys like Anthony Mortuzzo, really good defensive unit, can get in your face. What are you kind of doing to get yourself ready for a defensive unit like Guelph?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for us for Guelph is that they play with so many different personnels. You mentioned Mortuzzo. From week 1 to week 2, his snaps changed a lot. He played some nickel, he played some from Sam linebacker, and they got a bunch of big bodies up front. They like to play in the 30 front. And so a big thing for us is like knowing that we're going to get multiple looks, knowing that we're going to get Frigo walking down off an edge. We know we're going to get 15, 56 walking down off edges, and that they kind of like to play a lot of D&D football. And so just prepping ourselves for all the different looks we're going to get so that we can execute based on what they're doing.
Now, as you guys talk about that, like complexity and diversity in schemes, as an offense, you guys can kind of do that as well, right? You guys can put your extra guys on, but you guys have the talent to go 6 wide if you really want. How do you guys kind of game week to week, obviously without giving too much up, kind of game how you're going to approach a team with your own pass sets given their diversity?
Yeah, I mean, we're a team that, like you said, is afforded to be very multiple as well. We have good tight end play, we have good fullback play, and we have great receiver play as we know about. And so, being able to kind of mix those different sets together versus the different looks we're getting. And so, I think a lot of it is just finding the sets and formations that week that give us the look we want on the defense. And so, that might take a quarter. That might against Mac, that took us a half to figure out what exact sets we wanted, and against Mac it was load up and run the ball in the second half, and we'll see what it is this week. But yeah, I think using our personnels to trigger looks that we want is definitely something that we're trying to take advantage of.
And obviously, we know you guys can spread the ball out at Laurier. You have some damn talented wide receivers over there, but your backfield, man, can you guys run the football as well? So just talk about, the guys in the backfield there for you, and how you can attack Guelph on the ground as well.
Yeah, we have like you said, we got receivers, but we got backs, and our O-line has taken huge steps, and they're dominant, and then they were dominant week 1. And so being able to get the ball in guys' hands like Tanner Nelms, who had a great week last week coming off a CFO camp, and I know he's looking the best he's ever looked, and he's feeling great. And then mixing in Tayshawn Jackson, who's a new look for OUA defenses, but I think you quickly see the explosiveness and we call him the jitterbug a little bit of how much juice he brings. He's kind of our changeup back, and then Darian Bassett-Caden is steady. He's smart. He sees the holes well. He hits holes well, and he's physical. And so being able to kind of mix all 3 of those guys in and get them touches along with the receivers, there's a lot of mouths to feed over here at Laurier because we're blessed with a lot of talented guys, but being able to get the ball in all those guys' hands is very lucky for us.
All right, I got to stay on this topic because he is one of our absolute favorite Laurier Golden Hawks over here at CFP. You talked about Darian Bassick-Hayden, the GRT as we call him here. Talk about what he brings to your offense, because man, is he a body.
Yeah, D is one of the smartest guys on our team, I would say. He understands scheme, he understands football, he understands how to press points, he understands how to protect, and he plays with his shoulder pads forward and he plays with his shoulder pads down. And so being a hard physical runner who understands where the ball is designed to go and how to cut off of that is like, we don't get negative plays ever when D's in the game. He's always churning the sticks. He's always keeping his pads down and hitting our runs and trusting our O-line and trusting our scheme. And so I think a big thing for him is he's smart. And so that's definitely his strong suit.
All right. Just kind of one final one here before we let you go. What is it going to take for the Laurier Golden Hawks to pull one out this week in your home opener on the new turf, the new-ish stadium? I know it's still kind of coming together for you guys, but what's it going to feel like to kind of take that new field?
Yeah, it's gonna feel great to be on our new field and finally play a game there. That turf has been our old turf was well worn, and so to get the new one in there, it feels great, and we're excited to play on it. And when we talk about the game and what it's gonna take to get the win this week, I mean, I think that our locker room doesn't really feel like it's pull one out. We know what we are, and I think that's our big message, is that we're gonna see a lot of different looks from Guelph. We're gonna see a lot of different looks down the whole stretch from a lot of different defenses and a lot of different teams. And so it's all about playing our football. And I think that last week against Mac, me specifically, I came out a little bit too aggressive and didn't take what defense was giving us. And so all it is about is just making sure our eyes are good, our execution's good. We know we have the athletes, we know we have the physicalness up front, and so just focusing on ourselves and playing the best football we can for 4 quarters, and I trust our guys will get it done.
All right, Taylor. It's late. It's game week for you guys. We're going to let you go. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but we do really appreciate you joining us in the middle of a game week here as we record this on a Wednesday night with you. But best of luck this weekend. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. We always appreciate your time.
Of course, appreciate you guys having me on.
And that wraps up this week's marquee matchup preview. Connor, just to quickly note some of the other games across the province. Queens York live from Kingston. I'm probably going to go and check that one out on a nice Saturday.
3 p.m.
Carleton
game in Kingston.
Western Carleton from London. Carleton just had a physical matchup. See how the defense kind of hangs in after that when they have to go on the road. Toronto Mac. Keegan Hall put 350 up on Queens. What's he going to do this week against Toronto, who Guelph kind of had their way with through the air as well? And the other one involving your alma mater, Ottawa taking on the Waterloo Warriors. So back-to-back road games for the GGs. We'll see if Miracle or Jansen gets a start, and if they continue to take our advice to heart and feed Charles Asselin the ball.
I certainly do expect to see a little bit of Charles Asselin in that game, no doubt. But I'm excited, just a little bit after the last 2 weeks. But nevertheless, I'm excited to see how Ottawa kind of develops and continues to develop their offense. Are they going to find a little bit more of a balanced attack? Because like you said last week, we did see the York Lions start to tee off on Ben Miracle and that passing attack a little bit, knowing that Charles Asselin, and rightly so, was the game plan that week. So curious to see what Waterloo does and how they adjust. I'm really curious to see what week 2 looks like in the Dexter Janke era for the York Lions, because damn, did they have a really good first half, really good 4 quarters, I think, for this York Lions football team against a pretty stout Ottawa GG's team. Now they face an equally tough test going into week 2 for them, coming off that week 1 bye with the Queens Gales. Western Carleton, Western's run game. Is that offensive line going to repeat the performance from last week? I think on Twitter, I was either Twitter or Instagram. I'd have to go back and double check, but we put out, and the OUA put out the players of the week, and somebody said, what about O-line performances? Well, listener, if you did listen to that episode, we gave the Western Mustangs the Western Mustangs offensive line their shine. If we could have picked all 5 offensive linemen from the Western Mustangs, I think we probably would have. And Mac Toronto, Is Toronto going to rebound? Is Keegan Hall going to throw another 40 pass attempts in this one? I'm kind of excited for that game. Two very good quarterbacks going at it in that one. A young, promising quarterback in Caleb O'Donoghue with the Toronto Varsity Blues. Keegan Hall, we know what he is with the McMaster Marauders. Nonetheless, it's going to be an exciting week 3. Thank you again to Taylor Elgersma for joining us. We know this is a bit of a week for him, preparing to get ready for a tough Griffins offense, tough Griffins defense, tough Griffins team. So again, thank you to Taylor Elgersma for joining us. Best of luck this weekend to him and his Golden Hawks. Best of luck to all of the teams in the OUA. We don't root for anybody. Well, maybe you root for Toronto. Maybe I root for Ottawa sometimes, but we root for good football overall.
And the best part about it, Connie, you can check out all of these games live on demand for free at OUA.tv. So make sure to check out each of these games. We've got a lovely balance again, 2 at 1, 1 at 3, 5 and 7. So you can kind of cruise through each game as you please. Make sure to check out those games and check out OUA Sport on social media channels to keep up with highlights in case you missed them. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the week and let the football fun begin.